Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Raja Sabha Television this Saturday morning. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you, and here are this morning's headlines. Palaniswami to seek a vote of confidence in Tamil Nadu Assembly. Pannerselvam appeals to MLAs to vote without pressure. DMK to vote against the Chief Minister. State set for voting for the third phase of elections in Uttar Pradesh on Sunday. 69 seats in 12 districts to poll. Hours after being inducted into the Mehbooba Mufti cabinet, two PDP ministers resign. Raza Ansari and Basharat Bukhari write to Chief Minister explaining reasons. Environment Ministry orders inquiry into fire around Bengaluru's Bellandur lake. Thick smog enveloped the lake and surrounding areas after fire broke out in garbage around it. And Pakistan Army claims 100 militants killed after Sufi shrine bombing, asks Afghanistan to hand over 76 most wanted terrorists. Our top focus continues to be the political developments in Tamil Nadu, and Idapadi Palaniswami, the newly inducted Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, will be seeking a vote of confidence today. Well, the Assembly session has been scheduled for 11 a.m. today. He was sworn in on Thursday following invitation by the governor to form the government. Well, he has claimed the support of at least 123 AIADMK MLAs. Meanwhile, the Pannerselvam camp that has the open support of 10 MLAs has once again appealed to the AIADMK MLAs to think wisely before casting their vote. He appealed to them to vote against the trust vote and safeguard the interests of late Jayalalitha. Well, the DMK, till last reports came in, has decided to vote against Palaniswami during the trust vote. Well, the party has 89 MLAs in the assembly. Meanwhile, the Congress party with 8 MLAs has said that it will seek the High Command's word before deciding on its vote. The party has, however, said it will participate in the trust vote.
தனது உடல்நலத்தை கூட பாராமல் தமிழகம் முழுவதும் சூறாவளி சுற்றுப்பயணம் செய்து மக்களை சந்தித்து நம்மை வெற்றி பெறச் செய்து சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினராக்கியவர் மாண்புமிகு அம்மா அவர்கள். சுதந்திரமாக நீங்கள் சிந்தித்து நினைத்து பாருங்கள். நமது இதய தெய்வம் அம்மா அவர்களை ஒரே ஒருவரை நினைத்து பாருங்கள். மாண்புமிகு அம்மா அவர்களின் உண்மை தொண்டர்களாகிய நீங்கள் யாருடைய ஆசை வார்த்தைகளுக்கு மயங்க மாட்டீர்கள் என்பதை நான் நன்கு அறிவேன்.
அந்த நம்பிக்கை வாக்கெடுப்பிலே நாங்கள் பங்கேற்று அவரை எதிர்த்து நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய வாக்கினை திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகத்தின் சார்பில் இருக்கக்கூடிய 89 சட்டமன்ற உறுப்பினர்களும் எங்களுடைய வாக்கினை பதிவு செய்ய இருக்கிறோம்.
Meanwhile, ahead of the floor test, now members from the Pannerselvam faction dismissed Party General Secretary Sasikala and two of her relatives who were admitted to the party earlier this week. While the Election Commission has sought a response from Sasikala, seeking a response on a petition filed against her election as the AIADMK General Secretary.
The Election Commission has asked VK Shashikala to respond to a petition challenging her appointment as the AIADMK Interim General Secretary. The petition has been filed by the Pannerselvam camp, calling her appointment against the party's constitution. The poll panel has sought her response by February 28th. It has said that if she fails to respond, it will be presumed that she has no comments to offer and it will proceed in the matter accordingly. A day after E.K. Palaniswami took oath as the Chief Minister, the Pannerselvam camp hit back at the Shashikala faction. On Friday, it claimed to have removed AIADMK General Secretary V.K. Shashikala and her two relatives from the party.
Respected OPS, supporters are fighting against AIADMK very angrily. This should be stopped. Mr. OPS has gone to memorial. He is telling that he will meet the people in this district. Let him go wherever he wants. truth is in our side, surely truth will win.
E. Madhusudanan, who was earlier removed as a party's presidium chairman by Shashikala, said Shashikala and her relatives had gone against the party's principles and ideals. He also announced the expulsion of Shashikala's relatives, TVV Dinakaran and S. Venkatesh, from the party. Last week, the AIADMK had sacked Pannerselvam from the primary membership of the party. The Pannerselvam faction has 10 legislators, while Chief Minister Palaniswami claims the support of at least 123 MLAs.
As far as the existing house, the Tamil Nadu Assembly is concerned, the majority is clearly with Palaniswami, and Pannerselvam did try to get some MLAs, but he could not succeed for the simple reason that they were locked up in a resort. So whether Pannerselvam likes it or not, or anybody else likes it or not, the bottom line is Palaniswami enjoys the support of a majority of the MLAs. Whether they will vote for him tomorrow, it remains to be seen.
Shashikala is currently serving a jail term for a little less than 4 years in connection with the 66 crore rupee disproportionate assets case in Bengaluru. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, so it is going to be a very crucial day that is going to decide the future really of the Tamil Nadu Assembly, as well as two personalities that we are talking about. Of course, the Chief Minister E.K. Palaniswami, who is the newly inducted Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, because he is going to seek a vote of confidence today. All right, let's try to analyze and understand what really is happening in Tamil Nadu. Mr. Narayan Lakshman, who is the Senior Deputy Editor with The Hindu, is now joining us on the phone line. Thank you very much, sir, and very good morning. Now, we'd like to know from you how crucial and, in fact, how tight really is this vote of confidence going to be? Because Mr. E.K. Palaniswami says that he has the support of 123 MLAs, but if we assume that there could be some cross-voting, probably 10 to 11 in number, that could be a really tight vote really for him, isn't it?
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me, firstly. Yes, it is indeed a potentially tight scenario that we're looking at. However, the outcomes could go one or another way depending on the specific rules that are invoked by the Speaker on the floor of the House in terms of the confidence motion, and that will really determine, have a big impact on the outcome. So, if, as some have suggested, there is a possibility of the Speaker allowing a secret ballot,
yes,
a secret vote, where the identity of each MLA is not known in terms of which way they voted, then you could see cross-party or cross-faction voting happening on a greater extent. However, if that does not happen, and that is also possible, then there is a risk that any member MLA who votes across a party line or in contravention of the party whip, they could be risking disqualification under the anti-defection law, and that is probably something that they would not want to do. So all eyes on the Speaker this morning, and really questions about which way he will steer this process.
Right. And since you are in Chennai, have you got any indication as to how the other parties are going to vote? Because earlier there was an indication that DMK might not vote at all, but till the last reports came in, they were indicating that they will vote against the Chief Minister, as well as the Congress is also keeping its cards close to its chest. So what is the latest that you're getting from there?
I think what we are hearing, you're absolutely right, is that initially there was a sense that the DMK would probably even boycott the proceedings or abstain or not be involved in a sign of defiance of what is happening here. But again, I think from what we're hearing currently, it is likely they will vote against. And the Congress, I think, are supposed to make their views known at 9 a.m. Today, from what I've heard. But they are quite likely, again, to throw their lot in with the DMK, is what we've heard so far.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and putting things in perspective for us as far as the situation in Tamil Nadu is concerned. So it is going to be a very crucial day. The Chief Minister, E.K. Palaniswami, who's a loyalist of V.K. Sasikala, is going to seek a vote in the Assembly today. It is expected to be very tight, but we have to wait and watch as to what happens next. And let's move on in the bulletin now. And this is our special segment now, Verdict 2017. First up, news from Uttar Pradesh. Well, 69 assembly seats in UP's 12 districts will exercise their voting right tomorrow, campaigning for which ended on Friday. Well, a total of 2 crore voters, including 1.1 crore women and over 1,000 voters belonging to the third gender category, will decide the fate of 826 candidates. Well, 105 women candidates are also contesting the elections in the third phase. Prominent districts going to polls are Farrukhabad, Kannauj, Mainpuri, Etawah, Kanpur, Lucknow and Barabanki. In the 2012 assembly polls, SP had won 55 of these 69 seats, while the BSP secured 6, BJP 5 and the Congress won 2 seats. Now there will be 25,603 polling booths in this phase. The next 4 phases of polling will be held on 23rd and 27th of February and 4th and 8th of March. And the counting of votes will take place on 11th of March. Meanwhile, today is the last day for candidates for the 6th phase of UP polls and the first phase of Manipur elections to withdraw their candidature for the elections scheduled for 4th of March. Well, with campaigning ending for Sunday's election in Uttar Pradesh, focus has now shifted to phase 4 of the state polls. Well, Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav will address 4 rallies for phase 4 assembly seats, and SP's alliance partner Congress Party's Ghulam Nabi Azad will address 2 rallies in Jaunpur and Pratapgarh districts. Now, 54 assembly seats will go to polls on 23rd of February. News from Jammu and Kashmir now. Well, hours after being inducted into the ministry, while 2 senior PDP leaders have resigned from the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti's cabinet. Well, the move comes after Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti had expanded the cabinet for the first time since she took over the government in April 2016. Well, as per reports, both the leaders, Raza Ansari and Basharat Bukhari, were not happy with the portfolio assigned to them. Well, Basharat Bukhari was assigned the horticulture portfolio. Earlier, he headed the Revenue, Relief and Rehabilitation Ministry, while Raza Ansari was assigned the portfolio of Information Technology, Technical Education and Sports. There has been no word so far from the Chief Minister's office on whether the resignation has been accepted by her or not. News from Nagaland now, and the state governor P.B. Acharya on Friday met President Pranab Mukherjee and apprised him of the situation in the state. Well, Chief Minister T.R. Zeleng is also in the national capital to meet with the central leadership in an apparent bid to save his chair after 42 of the 49 MLAs of his party switched support to Shurho Zilit as the next chief minister. Well, unrest in Nagaland continues with indefinite bandh being called by several organizations demanding Zeleng's resignation. But a statement issued by the Chief Minister's office said that the Governor and Chief Minister are more concerned about the likelihood of President's rule being imposed by the centre, which will not solve the social unrest that the state is going through right now. Nagaland has been in turmoil since the state government decided to hold the local body elections in 12 towns across the state. 3 people were killed in clashes between the police and public thereafter.
वहाँ शांति वापस आए और जो एक लेजिस्लेटिव प्रोसेस है वो चल सके और वहाँ सरकारी ऑफिसर्स वगैरह ठीक से काम कर सके, उसके लिए सब लोग प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
On to some other news now. Well, the GST Council will meet today in Udaipur with the aim to approve the final draft supporting the centralized tax regime. Well, a consensus has been reached on all the contentious issues. The centre is hopeful that the 10th meeting of the GST Council will also give its nod to the final drafts of all the legislations, including the central GST bill and the state GST bill. Well, the Council's nod will pave the way for 3 bills to be tabled in Parliament in the second half of the budget session, beginning 9th of March. Well, the Law Ministry has reportedly vetted the legislations with all the changes that were agreed upon by both the sides. The focus now will be on the finalization of rules under the new tax regime. The passage of the bills at the earliest is essential for the government to meet its revised GST implementation deadline of 1st of July this year. And for more news from across the country, let's go nationwide. The Indian Navy on Friday sealed a 200 crore rupees deal with the Tata-backed Nova Integrated Systems Limited for procurement of over 24 surveillance radars. But it is being called the first such contract by an armed forces under the buy and make category. The procurement of the surface surveillance radar is a part of the Navy's plan for modernization of its fleet. These systems will also be installed on board ships under construction. Indian Navy's second ocean-going sailboat INSV Tarini will be inducted today. Well, Admiral Sunil Lama will be present at the formal function being held in Goa today. Tarini is the platform for the first Indian all-women expedition of a globe circumvention. Well, built to stock design by Van de Stad of the Netherlands, the boat carries a suite of 6 sails and boasts of an array of satellite communication systems. The Enforcement Directorate on Friday attached the assets of around 7 crore rupees of Delhi-based lawyer Rohit Tandon and others in the post-demonetization scam. Well, this after movable assets of around 42 crore rupees had also been attached under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Well, the assets were allegedly laundered through illegal money following demonetization of high-value currency notes in December last year. Well, we'll take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news.
This year, we have declared this campus as a net energy positive campus. In this campus, we have triple effect vapor absorber machine. This is one of the highest efficient cooling systems we have. Target by 2022 is 100 gigawatt. If we achieve that, India will become a leader in green energy and it will give the lesson to entire world.
Watch Eureka with SK Singh, Director General, National Institute of Solar Energy, Gurugram, only on Rajya Sabha Television. Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom. The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Now, the second day South Asian Speaker Summit will start from today in Indore, while Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan will inaugurate the summit. Very many national and foreign dignitaries will also attend the summit. Well, the summit will have a plenary session on identifying resources for sustainable development goal implementation in South Asia, opportunities for parliamentary cooperation. Well, the session will inform the delegates about the implementation of SDGs in the South Asian region and also discuss ways in which parliaments can ensure that adequate financial and other resources for implementation are there. Well, the other working session will discuss on a challenge of climate change, natural disasters and gender equality. During the summit, cultural programs highlighting the heritage of India will be showcased for the delegates. The summit proposes to adopt Indore Declaration at the closing ceremony on 19th of February. And India has once again expressed disappointment over the United Nations' inability to define terrorism during the current challenging times. Well, at the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in Bonn, Minister of State for External Affairs M.J. Akbar said that it is naive to believe that terrorists have no political objectives. He said, and I quote him now, "Radical terror factories like Daesh, Boko Haram and their allies or surrogates like Lashkar-e-Toiba are challenging the nation states, which is the principal building block of the architecture of stability after the collapse of the age of empires and colonization." Well, Akbar's strong remarks came in the backdrop of UN's Sanctions Committee failing to proscribe JEM chief Masood Azhar as the terrorist in view of China's strong opposition. Well, Akbar also proposed creation of a G20 working group on terrorism. News from Pakistan now. Well, the country says that it has killed more than 100 militants in a crackdown following attack on a Sufi shrine that left at least 80 people dead. Well, on Thursday, a suicide bomber blew himself up among devotees at the Sufi shrine in the town of Sehwan, with the Islamic State claiming responsibility. Well, Pakistan has reacted with the raids across the country. Some 18 militants were killed in southern Sindh province, where the Sufi shrine is located, and another 13 in northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It is unclear where the other alleged terrorists were killed. Well, border crossings with Afghanistan have been closed and rockets have been fired into 2 Afghan provinces as well. Remember, Pakistan and Afghanistan have long accused each other of giving shelter to militants that roam across their border. Well, the Pakistani army on Thursday also summoned Afghan diplomats to its headquarters and gave them a list of 76 militants whom Pakistani officials claim are hiding in Afghanistan, urging Afghanistan authorities to hand over the militants as soon as possible. Remember, the blast at the popular shrine was one of the deadliest in Pakistan in years and came after at least 7 extremist attacks this week. News from Bengaluru now, and the Environment Ministry has ordered an inquiry into the fire at the Bellandur lake there. Well, smoke choked the entire city, apparently after a pile of garbage around the lake caused a fire. Well, this is the 3rd instance when the lake caught fire. Well, factory waste and general sewage have led to extreme levels of water pollution in the lake already.
Fire broke out in the highly polluted waters of Bellandur Lake in Bengaluru last evening. The flames raged for a while as the area was enveloped in smoke. Even fire department personnel found themselves in a perplexing situation after seeing dense smoke emerging from the lake. Residents living near the lake were left panicked.
जो जितना भी ये आग लगा शायद मेरे ख्याल से जो केमिकल वगैरह जो फैक्ट्री से आता है उसकी वजह से प्रदूषण की वजह से ये आग लगा जैसा लग रहा है मेरे.
Getting like mixed in water and it's forming of chemical and it is within mixed with like fire and it's injurious to humans also.
पानी इधर आता है पूरा मस्किटो ज्यादा है बहुत प्रॉब्लम होता है सर उधर.
Pollution regularly causes the Bellandur lake to froth so heavily that the foam can be seen on roads nearby. And fires are often sparked by deadly effluents in the lake. But officials claim that this time it was a pile of burning garbage that caused the scare.
This is the 3rd time that the same lake has actually caught fire, and we've actually seen in Bangalore that most of the lakes are actually, there's toxins, there's froth that actually spills over to the roads of Bangalore. So it's a serious concern when it is about environment, and at the same time also the impact that it actually has on human health.
Bellandur and Varthur are the 2 major lakes in Bengaluru. Of late, both have been ruined because of the constant dumping of untreated sewage and toxic chemicals and detergents from the nearby small factories. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from the United States now, and US President Donald Trump's nominee has been sworn in to lead the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA there. Well, Scott Pruitt, a fierce critic of the agency, was approved by the Republican-controlled Senate despite the Democratic attempts to delay the confirmation. Well, senators voted 52 to 46 to approve Pruitt, who was sworn in later on Friday afternoon at the White House. Well, Pruitt is perhaps the most controversial appointment in the history of the EPA. Well, the Oklahoma Attorney General has sued the agency that he intends to lead more than a dozen times. Hundreds of the former EPA staff members wrote an open letter against his appointment. While critics also fear that Pruitt will be lukewarm on the threat posed by the climate change.
And in taking the oath of office as the administrator of the EPA, Scott Pruitt continues a long career of public service. He has been the Attorney General of Oklahoma since 2010, and I have heard the representation that his office has provided before the Supreme Court of the United States, and it has always been of a very high quality.
Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of News, but news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha Television. Thanks for watching.